connecting. Hello!
Aha!
Good morning.
Envy's in the house.
Good morning.
I envy this guy.
Hey, mate.
I thought you were going to go with like an MVP thing there.
MVP. Oh, he is an MVP in karting. But
Well, he is MVP. He's Nick Verheul. No?
No, I'm not gonna.
Came up with that
I'm not going to
joke
say
all
that
by
one.
myself.
No, that's. I'm being nice. I'm being nice today because Carl was late again, just for that. So apologies for him being late. But as you can see, now that he's got coffee in him and he found his the wheel nuts.
I had no sense of humor this morning. I'll be dead honest. I
You
couldn't.
lost your nuts this morning.
I lost all my nuts this morning. All three of them. Only had one left.
He's lucky. He's got 3, Isn't he lucky?
I've actually got 4. I had one left on the car. Yeah. So I had
Oh,
4
on the
nuts.
car.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about.
Sorry, my bad.
Craig, why are you so focused on nuts lately?
So bad, So bad.
Jeez.
Anyway, let's not worry about that right now.
Okay, Wayne.
We got the MVP in the house.
The MVP. Mr. Nick Verheul. So, welcome to Commentators Curse. We've been trying to get you on for ages.
I know.
And the reason, and we'll get into the reason why I wanted you on here later, like as we go through the episode. But
That'd be quite lucky to have up front because he hasn't told me why.
I don't even know what it's about. So this is
Well, there you go. So we're in the same boat.
This is exactly, but this is not what Commentators Curse is, though. Like, we get it out here now. Because
Yeah,
like,
okay, cool.
if we talk about it before, then there's
So now we know.
preconceived notions. But Nick, just for everybody that's watching and for Greg, because he doesn't know a lot, tell us who you are and what you do in the realm of motorsport in South Africa.
Yeah, well, love go-karting, love motorsport in general. From a little kid, I first saw go-karts when my uncle raced go-karts back in the late 70s, early 80s. I was born in 83. So when me and my cousin were born, he had to hang up the helmet because kids, work, etc. Always saw photos and videos, old videos of him racing and wanted to do it from day one. Came from a modest background, so not huge amounts of money to go racing. I begged and pleaded. We couldn't afford it, couldn't do it. Fast forward, played tennis to keep myself busy. Became quite a good tennis player in my time. But the passion was always for motorsport. Always wanted to chase the dream. And at the age of 21, I got my first paycheck. After that, I said to my dad, I've got enough money. I'm going to go and buy a go-kart. Knew nothing about go-karting. Rocked up at the track, saw what go-karts cost. And I was like,
Maybe not.
I need to work a bit more.
Yeah.
And I still remember looking in the newspaper, they had a Rotax RM1. It really looked nice, fairings, the whole thing. And I said to my dad, I really want one of these, Back then, it was 36,000 Rand for this go-kart. And I'd already worked out, how am I going to do it?
A plan.
And then I saved up a bit of money and I said to my dad, let's go and buy a second-hand go-kart. Like, I can buy a second-hand shronky thing. I still think it was one that a kid was driving whose dad was racing it. So it was a second-hand kart.
Yeah.
Went and we bought this kart. And then my uncle was like, okay, you know what? These guys are serious about this. Like, let's help sponsor them a little bit. So we bought a second-hand kart and we bought a new kart. So we were sharing those go-karts and we would practice a lot, like lots of laps, just to drive and have fun. We never intended racing. And eventually the one oak was like, why don't you guys come and race? I'm like, yeah, that actually sounds like a draw. Let's go race. Didn't enter the race, rocked up at Swartkops. First race meeting, standing in the queue to do documentation, and everybody's like,
What are you doing?
Who's this guy?
We're like, no, we're here to race. Then they're like, well, that's very nice, but did you enter? We're like, that's why we're here. We're here to enter. We didn't know anything about it. That's back when we used to fax our entry forms through to MSA and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it was good fun. That's where I met my wife, Jennifer. She was the lady at the counter who helped me.
Sure.
Come
How's
here,
that? Don't mess around. I'm coming racing.
Look, I think it took a few years for that to start. Though, to be fair, I think it took a few more years of you being at the contract before she became even your girlfriend and then your wife.
No, for sure. About 2 years.
Yeah.
She moved. Actually, when I started racing karts, she moved on to main circuit.
And she got scared. She was like, this guy's a little... Only kidding, Jane. Only kidding.
And again, that first day we raced, we went out for warm-up with the junior maxes and senior maxes, and we got handed a harding. I still remember Fabian Lance and Ralph Woodendahl and you. We were going into the last corner at Swartkops, and like 6 Oaks passed us into that corner, which was not very cool when we just started out. And then the COC was like, listen, I think you guys need to race in the clubs class, which was Max 175 at the time.
Yeah.
And they were like your older sort of guys, your Rob Kellogg's and your Rocky Gushers and these Oaks. And I was like, yeah, okay, then, man, let's see. So they asked the old guys, like, can these lighties join you? And the old guys were like, come and race. Just don't crash, just have a jaw.
Yeah. Mix it up, but keep it real.
That's it. And we learned a lot from them. They were very helpful and, taught us a lot and really open. The youngsters were like, who's this
Yeah,
in
because
my
we all
way?
think
Who's
at that point we thought we were heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
He still does.
Yeah.
I thought then, I know now. That's the difference.
Okay, cool.
So going back, racing that club racing really got me into it. And, the first few races we did was our club races. We never did nationals or anything like that. And it was so much fun. And then we started to take it more serious. We bought new go-karts. We got into it, new tires. And then it started to become regionals and nationals. And I loved it. We also couldn't take, because we were working, we couldn't take off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We rock up on the Friday morning, which was already one day off work, which was already frowned upon. Take off one day off work, rock up at a national, and you've got one practice and then qualifying.
We've already been there for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. And we were running in the mid-pack, sort of mid 15, 16, 17. Back then, there were 28 karts on a quiet race.
Yeah, but also back then, if you were in the top 15, you were doing the business.
Yeah. We practiced hard. We learned a lot. And then there was teams just started coming into the scene. There was a Piazza team, and there was the Burrell team, and Carl had recently just joined the Burrell team, and all of us were like, we wish we were in the Burrell team. It was Leroy Polter and Neil Curtis, and they all had data loggers on their carts. And we were like,
The first PI systems.
How are we going to beat these oaks? This is crazy, but hard work. Go out there, read the books, download books off the internet, go to the library, get books on how to drive, how to set up a kart. Understanding all the things about hard axles, soft axles, all the things that go-karts need, the basic setups, caster, Ackerman, all of those things which allow you to set it up the way you like it.
Yeah.
And the karts we drove inherently had a lot of understeer. They always had a lot of understeer. So we were like, well, it's quite simple. The book says this is what you do if you have understeer.
Yeah.
And we started to get really competitive. We started competing against the Piazza team as privateers on their karts. Then the guys were like, no, you need to set it up this way because then you're going to go faster. And I was like, but I don't like it that way. I like it this way.
Yeah.
And we went to Durban. For my first national, we went to Durban. We rocked up there in December, and Ralph Woodendal helped us. All he wanted was a 6-pack of beers. That was his...
Lovely.
Bring the beers and
Bring the
I'm
beers,
there.
I'll help you. Yeah,
exactly. So he spent a lot of time helping us as well on that track. We learned a lot. We spent a week there busy testing different things. My cousin had a kart. I had a kart. We would set it up differently. And that's how we learned. That's how I started to love the game, is because what does this do? What does that do? Not listening to other people.
Yeah, the technical side and learning
paying
from
other
side,
people. And because we didn't have endless amounts of money just to pay oaks to teach us, we learned it ourselves.
Yeah,
lots
sure.
and lots and lots of labs. And this is what I keep
like
telling
that.
people today.
I've actually got a thing. No, carry on talking. I'm just going to grab it quickly because it was there's a great saying that I picked up a while ago, which I've kept on my phone, and I always like to refer to it, especially when someone like you drops that hint, and it's.
But I mean,
It's,
you talk about me being in the teams and doing, and honestly, yes, at that time in a team, it's an advantage. At that time, thereafter, it is a disadvantage. Had you ever done that throughout your career as a young, and I work for teams, so I'm probably going to get shot in the foot for saying this, but over my years now of being a driver in a team, racing in a team, racing in the front, and then leaving and going to go work for teams, then run my own, and then do all that work. The biggest advantage to me that every driver is lacking, especially in that environment, is what you're talking about now. That understanding of, it feels, and we spoke to Rory Atkinson a couple of weeks ago, with the same conversation of the reason hard work is able to beat talent is because you have a better understanding of what your equipment is doing and what you need to do to make it do something differently that you want.
Precisely.
And that's been your advantage from, you did all that karting back in the day, you kind of got there, and then you took a break from a couple of years and came back in DD2. I think it was the first time he came back and actually won a championship to win a ticket. Yeah. I think all those years of hard graft learning and doing the ups and downs and reading the books is why you are now able to get into a kart. Every time you get into a kart and run in the front regardless is because of that knowledge that you've sustained or earned over those years.
Exactly. And, it's exactly that. Those guys that run those teams have the experience. They've done the work, they've done the driving, they've done the setup. Those are the guys that can really coach. Those are the guys that can really teach. Yourself, Leroy, all these guys that can actually teach people how to turn a steering wheel. Anybody can drive a go-kart.
Yeah.
But to
be competitive is different though.
Exactly.
Yeah, to be competitive.
To be in that front, there's a lot of factors. There's you need to know what you want. You need to be able to communicate
what you need.
I can't do this and I can't do
Correct.
that. You need to be able to speak to people, tell them what you want. And the guys that are helping you need to know exactly how to give you what you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
there needs to be an understanding. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, you can get rid of understeer in 4 different ways. You can get rid of oversteer in 4 different ways.
Yeah, and 3 different parts of a corner, yeah.
100%. There's the entry, middle, exit. There's all these different, and I think that's what karting teaches people is how to communicate. Because
Yes.
when you leave karting and you go to main circuit, you can't fix the car yourself.
Yeah, you
can't-
first need to identify the issue.
There you go.
Once you've identified the issue, you need to communicate that to your engineer
100%.
in a way that is going to give you the result you need when you go back out.
That's it.
Because a change on the entry of a corner is going to give you the exact opposite result on the exit of a corner. So
That's
if you
what they-
misread it or
yeah,
get it wrong,
That's what they speak about the balance.
Yes.
There's never perfect. You sacrifice entry to gain exit.
Correct.
There's always that. Where's the perfect sweet spot in?
Yeah.
And the driver has a big part of that because how's the driver driving? Because the driver can drive around problems. So you think, I've got the setup perfect because he's driving so well, but he could be 2/10 faster.
if it was exactly
If he just
right.
did that
Set
little
up
tweak.
better.
Correct.
Yeah, if you could communicate what he needed a bit more.
That's exactly what I was going to say now. I mean, you guys are both speaking about 2 aspects. One was, of course, the fact that you had to work so hard and you listened to people and you didn't listen to people. And that's the thing I'm going to send to Verheul, put up here on the screen for us quickly. It's Robert De Niro driving a little sort of open top car, and the caption goes, "Listen, smile, agree, and then do whatever the fuck you want." Because the bottom line is that's probably the best way you're going to learn, is because you're going to listen, you're going to go, yeah, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that, or let me try that, or don't let me try that, and then and like as you said, with that learning curve comes the fact that you then have the ability to do that setup yourself, and like we have with a lot of our drivers and a lot of our riders, and it's probably one of the best reasons that particularly I'm going to go 2 wheels on you here for a little bit. Particularly in 2 wheels, while our riders are so much better internationally than other riders that have come from Europe or from the States or whatever. Because what I've seen in the past is that those riders, and it also works with karters, they will come into the pits and they'll chuck their helmet, they'll throw their gloves down and say, this stupid thing doesn't work. Our oaks will go,
I need
hang on a second, maybe.
I need a bit more of that.
No, not even that. On the track, they'll already be trying to drive around the problem, trying to sort it out in that practice session or trying to sort it out in the qualifying session.
Yeah.
If it hasn't been set up 100% right, they won't come in and throw their toys out the cot. They'll make a plan. I mean, the prime example of that was when Brad's launch control device didn't disengage the whole race. He raced with the launch device engaged the entire time, but still raced.
Yeah.
And I think he still even scored points on that day.
Yeah, it didn't come in. And
So
try and,
he didn't come in and
throw his toys at his engineer.
But I've been there, and I was there last year, where you literally watch the guy come in and literally throw his toys at the cot, and you think, geez, like it. If people could see that on camera, all of a sudden their perception
you
of
changes, yeah.
this god who's on a motorcycle or this god in a race car, all of a sudden you go, hang on a second, maybe he's not that great.
Old Brad, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit. I would say probably a small bit, but it's also more of a non-South Africanism thing.
Yeah, we talk about the negative South Africanism.
No, the South
This is
African
one of
side
the
of
positive
things.
ones. Is that
No, we have, because we don't have the technology, and you dealt with it, having not having the technology against him with everything. You still came up and became competitive against him because you had the hard path. And I'm not saying that you didn't. Please understand. I know your path.
Yeah, my
But what
path
I'm saying
came
is,
afterwards,
when you get to that fork in the road, you go, okay, if I go that way, everything's handed to me. And that's kind of like the Lewis Hamilton, okay? But then I go, well, hang on a second. You mentioned Ralph Woodendal. I'm going to go Ari as an example.
Yeah.
Arnie Neveling. And you go, well, he went there, okay? Got to like the first T-junction and it went, no more money.
Dead end, yeah.
So now the
do I
guy
carry
who
on,
could
yeah.
be in a seat right now with Cadillac or Audi is now sitting at home looking after South African Endurance Series Championship drivers and helping him with, and his dad's doing helmet design and whatever. But there's a guy who beat Hulkenberg, who beat Bottas. Both of them are on F1 grid right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the list
crazy.
of drivers we have that are that long is that could have been in that seat is unbelievable. Like out of South Africa, I think we probably have 20 or 25 drivers that should have deserved that shot or deserved that option. It's almost, I wouldn't say impossible, but it is so difficult for us with what we earn rand-wise to go and compete. And we heard it from Jordan as well.
Yeah.
Because you also go from here, if you can afford the motorsport at that level, you go from a lap of luxury to sitting in a one-bedroom apartment struggling throughout every month. And it's something that every one of us has had to deal with. But, you did your hard graft, you learned the kart, you then obviously met Jen, your now wife, you guys got married, you kind of ended up in that Rotax family, which is the South African Rotax family at the moment. I mean, you're one of the big shots there in that organization. And your role has now changed. You've gone from driver to dad, and you've got to look after Christian in his junior max. Your other son's in the mini max, micro max at the moment. And you and I sit often on the wall watching the racing because I've got Brody racing against you in the juniors. And the conversation we always have is that like 90% of every problem on track is caused by one thing and one thing only, and that's the spacer problem. And that's generally the space between the seat and the steering wheel. And that is, no matter what setup you do, setup is worth 2/10. The rest, 90, all comes down to a driver. That's it, yeah. And we talk about this often in South Africa, that we're missing that dad and lad trailer racing. Well, how you did it. The rock up with your own card, prep your own card, run it yourself, set up yourself. We have this issue now in motorsport, in karting in general in South Africa. And I'll try and avoid the 2 series options because to me, as long as there's bums and seats and go-karts in South Africa now, I'm happy. The more people driving go-karts, the better it is, and you're on the same page. But we have to create that ability for a dad and lad to come with a Fender trailer and a go-kart. And you can be competitive against the big teams. I fully believe it. I mean, I ran a team out of a caddy bucky and competed with them. It's entirely possible, but we need to create an area for them to feel comfortable, to come into karting with as little financial input as possible, and get them to fall in love with the sport that you and I have fallen in love with and basically committed our lives to you. Correct. And that is where your pathway is now and what you're looking at. So the reason I wanted to get you on Commentators Curse is to talk about that concept and get it out there so we can start building it up and getting people involved and interested to join a level of motorsport that is not corporate karting. It's not national level. It's something in between, and to recreate that club karting atmosphere.
Yeah. So it's exactly what it is. It's club racing. It's part of Rotax. It's Rotax Racing Club, and they believe that karting is for all. They try and keep it. Rotax is known as a recreational brand. Their Sea-Doos, their Ski-Doos, all their brands that they do, it's recreational. It's go have fun, go have a joy. And the go-karts is something that they did many years ago. 2002, 2001, somewhere in there, they launched in South Africa with Ed Murray. And the concept was no checkbook racing, because in the day it was 100cc engines. They used to break a lot. You used to be able to file them and tune them and blueprint them and make them go faster the more you spend.
If you were a tuner.
Correct, and paid the right people to do it. And there was always that belief that maybe the guy wasn't doing it the same way, and and etc. So
the perception,
it was always perceptions, right? I don't believe people do that, honestly.
No, they don't.
My many years experience, when I started, it was exactly like that. I was like, the teams have the best stuff. They've got the best stuff, blah, blah, blah. But over my years of racing, I've learned to realize that, you know what, there is differences in engines, there is differences in chassis, there is small, but you can make them all work.
Yeah.
If there's a fundamental flaw in your motor, then it needs to get fixed.
Yeah. But we're talking seconds, not tenths.
If you're second off the pace, there's something wrong with that engine. Go get it fixed. They can fix it. It needs a new part. Or it's been seized and needs to get honed, or something's wrong with that motor. One of the examples I had was the perception is a big thing. When I was, let's go back one step, about that 2/10 that drivers, that in the steering wheel and in the seat problem, a lot of it is mental, a lot of it is pressure. And when you're in a big team, you feel that need to perform. You feel that I need to do well. Dad's constantly saying how much money he's spending, it's costing me lots of money. And the kids are this huge amount of pressure to win. If you're not passing, you're being passed. That's the mindset. And the kids end up crashing, hurting themselves, getting scared. A lot of the parents don't understand how fast these go-karts really are.
At the age of 11, we're talking 11-year-olds doing 120 k's an hour.
Exactly.
And some of them absolutely cocking themselves, not because of the speed that they're doing, because when they get into the pits and they haven't done what they were supposed to do, they're going to get mudded by dad. No, and that is one of my pet peeves.
I say the same thing. It's not only in karting; it's in motocross as well. You see it all the time, and particularly in the sort of the formative years. And I mean, we got motocross riders starting from 4 and 5 on the little MX50s, the PB bikes, and you guys have got, I think, 5 and 6 is where they started. Or is it 4 and 5? I think in the cadets.
5.
Year of your fifth birthday. So cadets are doing 60 k's an hour.
72 k's an hour.
And it might not sound like a lot, but like you mentioned the 120k. Let's take that as the standard rule of the road. 120 k's an hour, okay, is the standard rule of the road. You're allowed to drive that on the highway. He does a little bit more, trying to get you on time. But
Well, he was late.
But if you
so
take
that's why-
that into account, 120 k's an hour is 33.3 meters per second.
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah.
Now, when I used to do driver training, we try and instill that into everybody when you're trying to teach them how to drive a car properly on the road, and when you get into trouble, what do? Because the first thing you say to a person is, when you're doing 120 k's an hour and something happens in front of you and you haven't given enough space, what's the first thing you do?
Jump on the anchors.
See, that's what everybody says. No, it's not. It's not the first thing that you do. What do you think the first thing you do is, Nick?
trying to avoid it. Yeah.
No, not. The first thing you go is, oh.
And in those 2 seconds,
Okay,
you traveled
and that's 2
60
seconds.
meters.
You've traveled 66 meters. Now, if you are only a car length behind, that means you've driven straight through the car that you're trying to avoid who's done
it's the
something wrong in
truth.
front of you.
And remember, we've got
And now you've gotta
11-year-olds
go-
doing it.
You've got to go and teach these little oaks who have got no clue on road things.
And there's no space between
Thank
them.
you. They are right on each other's bumpers.
So
And
when
they're
they
all-
make mistakes, and then I know we're going to do this a lot, okay? It's because you've got 2 individuals that are a little bit spacey, so we tend to move around on topics, but we'll get the points across. The biggest thing I hate is a parent or a grandfather will come up to me and go, that driver's dirty. And I go, but is he? Because he's an 11-year-old kid. I've never met a malicious 11-year-old kid.
No, not a chance.
Not in my entire life have I ever met a malicious 11-year-old kid. I've met a malicious 45-year-old father of an 11-year-old kid. That I've met.
Yeah.
But I've never met a malicious 11-year-old kid.
Nope.
And 99.9% of the time, when a kid gets fired off the track or gets pushed off or gets run wide or gets something happens, majority of the time, it's an honest
An
mistake
accident.
and an error.
Yeah, it's an
Because we're expecting a young 11-year-old to figure something out in less than a second, because if he doesn't, he's already had an accident.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, that's the thing that I want. That's why I think that a club racing, because this is where we all learned.
That's
We
right.
learned in club racing.
It's exactly how I started
We
the conversation.
crashed our
was the
brains
club
out in club racing.
Yeah.
We crashed our brains out in club racing. But that's where we learned. And the officials on the day knew it was a club race and dealt with drivers differently.
And I think that's also a vital aspect to what you're bringing in there with the club racing is that, and exactly what you just said now, Carl, is that this is not a national. This is not an Africa Open. It's not a world final.
It's a
This
learning
is a learning experience. So, and I used to see it when we raced Supermoto. I mean, I had numerous occasions where I got called into Paddy Vensky's office where he went, this. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, my bad. Okay, go back, sort it out. Whatever it was, okay? Don't do this. Don't hold your line. Don't try and move out of the way when the fast guys are coming. Let them find a way around you.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to avoid them and then somebody gets in the way. Because I'd always get into trouble going, okay, I'll move out of the way and let them come on the inside.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, there's a guy trying to, which normally Gary Peterson at that stage, like, great, God rest his soul. He'd come around the outside, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and then you're entangled.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and also the cool thing with that is something that you mentioned too, and I'm sure that you're doing it as well, Nick, is you're not only teaching the drivers, you might have brand new COCs, hopefully, please goodness, in both of the classes,
some of those, please.
both of the federations, new marshals. Maybe there's a new medical team that's on call that need the experience and how to get a kid out of the cart, because that alone is a massive, vitally important.
That is exactly
all of that's got to come in.
that's
all that learning
exactly
curve.
What club racing is for is
Yeah.
and this is what all the conversations that have been happening now that I've started to not race anymore, get more involved in the organizational side and how hard it is to run one of these events and how much pressure is actually on all those people running that event to put on a good show, to make sure it's safe, to make sure everything's thought of, everything's worked out. Club racing is a little bit more relaxed. That's where I started, like I said, racing with the 175s. There's not this extreme pressure to win, and there's less accidents because there's, you know what, if
Let him go, yeah.
that's that whole relaxed vibe. And when I took a break, I took like a 2-year break, and I came back and I got my engine and I had an accident in the first corner. The guys rode over me, broke my radiator. I didn't know, seized the engine, only had one engine, and I was like, oh shit. And now I'm out for the day, you know. And I'd gone to a couple of friends and I said, listen, can I borrow an engine? They've got one, but it's new. And I was like, I don't want to break it in case something happens. You never know, you know. I don't want to be in that situation. So I went to Punjabi Racing, one of my old friends in the track, Ralph Woodendall. I said to him, bud, have you got an engine for me? And he's like, yeah, I've got an engine for you. It's in the back of the van. Nobody wants it. Everybody's tested it. It's a piece of cock. I was like, okay, well, I don't care.
Better than mine. It's not working.
At least I'm in the grid.
I'm just here for the fun.
Yeah.
I'm here to race. I'm here for the fun. And I got this engine. I put it on a cart and got pole position with it. And Rolf was like,
What the hell?
Like, nobody wanted this engine. And I was like, I don't know, it's freaking good.
Everything works, yeah.
It works,
It's
yeah.
good. There's nothing wrong with this motor. And I had a great day with it. And it was a learning experience for me as well, because afterwards I was like, how the hell was I? And you know what it was? I didn't care anymore.
Yeah. The
I didn't
pressure
have
was
the
off.
pressure
Yeah.
to do well. I didn't have and automatically I got faster. And after that, that's when I started winning the championships, and I started to really, truly understand how to block out all the noise.
And just go and enjoy it, yeah.
Just, you hear, having a jaw, race. Focus on what you're doing. Don't worry about results. Don't worry about lap times. Just
It'll all come, yeah.
come on its own. And this is what I'm trying to teach my kids.
It's massive, dude. Because I mean, you saw me come back in 23, right? And that first part of the season, I was nowhere.
Yep.
I couldn't get it together, and all it was. But 15 years ago, I was untouchable. Why am I not? And I need to be back at that level. And then someone came up to me and said, Carl, you do realize you're now
A buddy.
You're now 32, bro. Those kids you're racing are 17.
You're a dad.
Like, just relax. It'll come.
Yeah.
And I was at a doobie, and I can't remember who it was. It was as I came in and I was losing my nut because I was nowhere, and Magada was giving me a hiding, but it was a doobie, so I should have expected a hiding there. And I went back out on circuit, went to this, you know what, I'm back in the kart again.
Just having
something
fun.
I never thought I was going to be back in
Yeehaw.
again. Let's half a second. And it's now like every time my kids go to the grid and I've chatted to them, do this, don't forget about that, and don't flatten the throttle on the start, you're going to flood it, and be careful of this, and watch that, and all these. And the end of the sentence is, what's the most important thing?
Have fun.
Every time.
There you go.
Like,
it's about.
if you are not having fun is fast.
100%.
And that is where, but the ethos of that and the reminder of that is club racing.
Yeah.
And that is what you want to bring back with that.
There was
Rotate
that
club.
saying from Talladega
Talladega Nights,
Nights,
yeah.
where the guys loose is fast. The car's too loose. Well, loose is fast. It's
Yeah.
the same thing as a driver. If the driver's relaxed, he'll be fast.
100%.
And when I went to the grand finals in the second time around, and a lot older, 2016, 2017, that area, I went there with the mindset of just have a jaw. Like this,
Enjoy it,
you're
yeah.
reaching the end of your time. You're not going to be doing this forever.
Yeah.
Just make the most of it. Just who cares where you finish? Just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I got pole position.
Yeah, you were flying that weekend,
Which
man.
blew my mind. I mean, the lady came to me with a old Jenny Wade. She came to me with a microphone. She's like, "So you got pole position? How do you?" I was like, "What?
What?
I didn't even know I had pole
yeah.
position."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, there's no life. I didn't go, let me check my live timing quickly. No, hold on a second.
I hadn't even
You got what?
I hadn't even gone over the scale yet.
Yeah.
And she was
Wow.
like,
You're on pole, yeah.
And I
It's
tell you,
insane, eh?
I get goosebumps.
No,
thinking of
listen,
it.
I do
Yeah.
too.
And I
Those kind of stories, like from my side, I mean, my motorsport career has not been anything like your two. I've had a spectacular motorsport career and driven everything in the country, but never at the levels that you two have driven at. But when you hear those kind of stories, but it makes my heart so good,
Yeah.
And I think about, I've spoken about you, and I've spoken about you, and I've spoken about all these little youngsters that are running around at the moment, and that are doing things relatively good. Some of them are doing them really well. Some of them are doing maybe some dodgy stuff that I don't agree with, but unfortunately I don't have any say in that. But I do have say when it comes up on a screen, I can go, and I know about that. And, Jen and I have got a really good relationship since we sort of did the old days of Rapid Motion, and when we first started doing the karting with the late, great Jan, and he would go overseas and do the world finals and come back, and then I'd voice them. And then he eventually came and joined us as a color commentator to bring in the nitty gritty that I didn't know. I knew how to
details.
I know how to tell
Yeah.
a race story,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't know all that stuff that you just spoken. I had no clue.
Yeah.
But he brought it in. And then, like, I hear these stories and I hear your story, and that's one of the reasons we brought you on. One of the reasons I was so happy that you were coming in is because a lot of people don't realize, first of all, where you came from, what the humble beginnings were, and where you've got to. And now, being a former school teacher and having worked with kids myself on numerous occasions in various sports, the fact that both of you, are working so well in terms of the development of our youth, no matter what color, creed, or preference they have, it bodes well for the sport. And I wish, and I'm saying this to camera, that the powers that be could see what these guys do, what other guys are doing on a similar vein to what both of these guys are doing, because therein lies our biggest problem in the sport is that you guys are putting your heart and soul. You put your heart and soul in. You put your heart and soul in. You're putting your own money in. You're putting your own money in. There's a lot of other guys. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that are doing it on a similar in all genres of the sport as well. And the recognition is not there. So that's,
What this is about.
you want people to realize, that there are a huge amount of issues that we have raised and have been raised in various shows. there's a huge amount of positivity that's been raised in shows, but we want to bring in. There's the positive side of it, or there's the negative side of it. How do we turn that into a positive?
Yeah,
you've already done
solution,
it.
yeah.
You've come up with a solution, and I applaud you on that, on the fact that you've got the birth of a club class, because I mean, my first and only experience was in a club 100 in a race in a kart, besides the 4-stroke 24 hours and stuff that we did for fun. But I mean, just that alone, just having driven a kart around the old Swartkops. And I'm talking about the old Swartkops track.
Yeah, it was a wild track, yeah.
And let me tell you, when I did it, it was with Johan Kutsia, I think his name was, an Afrikaans kid. Anyway, he let me. He had a 125 actually, and we'd finished up the day's racing, and his dad and him were busy packing up, and he said, "No, listen, why don't give Greg a chance?" I was like, dude, I don't have a helmet. He said, okay, well, use mine. Yeah. I mean, his head was like 3 times smaller than mine, but I just shoved it on him. I was like, don't give a rat. It was a dark helmet. It was it was literally sunset. So it was like in the dark that I drove the car. But just that experience, I was like, wow, okay, now I know what you always talk about when you're that low to the ground, you've got that amount of power behind you, you turn it in, it's
visceral, it's responsive.
Everything just blew my mind. And I was like, okay, now I have to have a go in this properly. Yeah. And then I went, of course, with Grant to the launch of V-Town and did the 100s, and then Tanith Gardner passes like we're looking for parking. But bottom line is that's the cool thing. And then, like, as I said, if youngsters can get that initially, like you had a chance with your dad and going to the track, or have a chance to find their way, this is what I think the purpose is that you drive them.
The purpose is exactly that. As Carl said, the motorsport is changing and motorsport is growing globally. Sim racing, F1 becoming so popular.
Yeah, the Netflix shows,
everything
it's
is
really starting to push somewhere, yeah.
Every form of motorsport is growing around the world. And one of the things with karting is it's the perception that it's very expensive. All motorsport is expensive.
Yes,
let's not get wrong.
We know that.
But there are varying degrees.
There's varying degrees. You can go and do club racing, regional racing, and national racing. The problem with karting that I've found is you need to be in a team, you need to be winning because we're spending lots of money.
No,
that's the wrong perception.
That's fine if you want to go and make a career out of it because you need to learn to deal with that kind of pressure, right? But a lot of people just want to have a jaw.
Which you can do with a trailer and your dad.
There you go. And I think a lot of people get scared away by that. They come to the track and we see new people every day. They come, they ask questions, they see, they look, and immediately the thing comes out, well, if I don't know how to fix the kart, and you're like, no, but it's pretty easy, I'll show you.
And also, there's smaller service centers all over the country that will do it without you joining a team,
100%.
which people don't realize.
That's it. So the concept came about with this Arrive and Drive Club 100. The guys in the UK run this thing called Club 100. I've always heard of it. I've never really paid too much attention in it because I've been busy with my own stuff. Now that I've got more time and I'm more focused on karting because we actually closed our business down.
Bosco, that being Bosco.
Bosco, yes.
It was motherboards and
PC boards,
PC boards.
Circuit boards. Yeah, we had to close it down. Economic pressures and importing stuff is just so much cheaper. And I thought to myself, what can I do? Everybody talks about growing the sport. And I love the sport.
And nobody ever puts the money behind to do it, though.
Well, some people do, but in different ways. They believe that that's the way they're going to grow the sport, which is fine. There's a place for everybody.
Yes,
I don't want to tell people that they're doing it right and wrong because everybody who's putting in effort
is doing something
a
right.
Difference.
If you're putting effort in, you're doing something right. If there's bums and seats, thank you. That's the point.
100%. And coming up to the club racing, I thought to myself, it would be so lekker if you could get a guy I promise you, once you've tasted that 2-stroke,
it's over.
Once you felt that,
you're sold.
Once you felt that thing, you spoke about it now.
I'm going to interrupt you there. Anybody out there who has a formula to turn 2-stroke smell into aftershave
or a candle,
please let me know. Please let me know.
But it must be caster based.
Please let me know. Because man alive, the three of us are going to make gazillions.
It really is. And, I'm not running down any other formula, any other engine. I'm just saying that there's just something special about a 2-stroke.
For sure.
And once you've had that bug bite you, it's like a drug. It really is. It's a good drug because it's not a... I always tell dads, and it's like a joke, a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke. I say to them, go-karting is expensive, but it's still cheaper than rehab.
Which is not a joke at all. I've seen so many people go that way, and motorsport brought them back over here. It does that for so many people.
I think sport in general. I have to say that. Sport in general. I mean, I've seen it, been coaching kids for 11 years before I even decided to pick a microphone up. And you see the pressure that gets put on, particularly at private school level, but also even at government school level. And I'm talking about sort of the sports that require one ball as opposed to two, like ours. But the bottom line is that it's sport in general that can sort of keep your kids on the straight and narrow. You know,
100%.
They learn responsibility. They learn all the skills in life and skills in life that get taught, particularly in motorsport.
Yeah, ups and downs,
it's
failures,
huge.
accidents, incidents.
How to get up.
Things in your control, things out of your control. There's a lot of things in life that you learn doing sports.
Sure.
What I love about motorsport, I mean, my kids, I played high-level tennis, and my mom and dad had to sit there.
Yeah.
I never spoke to them on a tournament. You know,
Correct.
They drove me to the venue, and
And never saw you until you finished.
that's where the parents stay. My kid he swam took swimming with level 3. He's quite a strong swimmer. That's where the parents sit.
Yeah. You're not involved.
You're not involved in any way or form. Whereas at motorsport, at karting in general, dad is tightening, loosening, fixing carburetors, talking to the kid, how are we going to go fast, etc. Mom is busy cooking, buying food. Mom's getting involved. You know? It's a true family sport, if you want to call it that. It's like I can tell you that the parents are 110% involved, and that it kind of is a bit of the downfall because they get too passionate about it.
Yeah, some
And you know, I had one dad, a friend of mine, he became a friend of mine. He was shouting at his kid, "Oh, you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong." And I said to him, "Have you driven a go-kart before?" Plenty. I've driven go-kart, plenty. I was like, "What go-karts have you driven?" "No, I've driven the indoor karts at the shopping malls." I'm like, "Okay, that's good. All right. Do you want to drive a two-stroke?" No, he doesn't want to drive a two-stroke. I said to him, "I promise you, and I'll give you my DD2. It's a direct drive 2-speed. It's the fastest kart in our series."
And your 11-year-old's going to kick your ass.
And I said, "Your light is in Micromax, which is our slowest two-stroke kart." I said, "Your light is going to go faster than
And
you."
he's going to lap you.
And he said to me, "Never." Those were his words. Please, never. Those were his words. And I was like, "Okay, buddy, cool. Get in the kart." No, he's not going to do it. So a couple of weeks later, he's there with his family and friends, and all his friends are there. So, of course, I whip out the ego thing. And I'm like, "But remember
that challenge?
Yeah. And all his friends are like, "Oh, come on, go." So, of course, peer pressure.
Ego. Let's go. I got this.
Instant.
Let me show you.
Yeah. So he gets into this kart and he cucks himself. He's going over the bridge there at Zwartkops. He's lifting off. He's going around the corners, and he did 7 laps. He came out of that go-kart.
Sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Can I have a Coke or something? Like, he was freaking out.
No.
His adrenaline was wild. And
Never shouted back in again.
And he's like, "I had no idea." And I said to him, "Right, now the moment of truth. Raf, what time did you do?"
Yeah.
He was faster than his dad. And his dad was like,
"Okay, all right.
Say no more.
there you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've always said that two-stroke, and I mean, you know how involved I am in the four-stroke karting as well, and the grassroots karting, which to me is where I think a lot of the focus needs to go. It needs to be more financially accessible. It needs to build. And we've gone with the Tillison series, which we're going to chat to Tillison as well, just to get that information out there because it is an accessible series. What we've done there is we've allowed all the coaches, whenever you come in for an intro, it's done with Tillison, but every coach is informed. Every coach knows that there's a new driver coming in. That driver is given option for any of those coaches to help and assist.
Yeah.
I'm going to, in the next couple of months, start up courses for dads to come and learn how to do chassis tabling, wheel alignments, so that they can then run their own carts, what to do with the tappet settings, how to run a Tillison. Free program. If you got a Tillison, come and join us because we want those dads to get more involved. I don't want the fact that you have to pay a team fee to
scare you away.
From the sport. But four-stroke karting is great. It's a wonderful thing, but it isn't a two-stroke. It really isn't. I mean, we were at Revstar this weekend. Tillison joined the Rock Cup series. The Tillisons were a second slower than a mini Rock. Okay, it's not what you want a senior car to be. You want to feel the power, you want to go forward. But two-stroke, even to those four-stroke drivers, has been unattainable. It's inaccessible because simply of the price point. Now, you mentioned Rotax, the Club 100, which was done with a Rotax engine aboard a
first 100 cc's.
Yeah, that's
they started in the 90s.
with the TKMs.
That's it. So they had arrive and drives, what they call arrive and drive. And they've been in since the 90s. I think 93 was the first time they started, which is a long time ago. And I think just after COVID, I think that was the story. After or just before COVID, they moved to Rotax engines. And since they've done that, they're growing twofold. It's just taking off. They can't keep up.
I mean, you were mentioning, so just to give some concept. So in karting, there is, let's say, 3 factions. There's the corporate karting, which you do at your average shopping center in the parking lot. 350 rand gives you 15 minutes.
Rental carts and a
Rental
four-stroke, heavy, built industrial to last.
Hard compound tires. It doesn't go very quickly. Steering wheel's incredibly heavy, but it's an invitation. There are things like Sodi World Series, which you can then compete in and then go race overseas. We've got a lot of South African drivers doing that. But it's just simply a little bit too slow. It's not quite.
Yeah, it's heavy and it doesn't handle well because it's been built to last. Yeah.
But it is an accessible form of motorsport, and most of my Tillotson drivers have come from Sodi World Series and those rental type concepts. Yeah. The next step up from that has always been owner racing in South Africa. You have to own your own go-kart, which you have to then go purchase from a supplier to go racing. That is the only next step to have a competitive racing series. What Rotax Racing Club has done is they've taken that corporate kart, removed the heavy 4-stroke water pump engine, and fitted a Rotax 2-stroke engine to it, push button start.
Water cooled.
Arrive and drive concept. So you arrive on the day, it's a Saturday. Charles Leclerc actually did a video of him doing an event. You arrive on the day, you pay your entry fee, you get there on the Saturday, you do your 2 practices, I think it's a qualifying and 2 races, a pre-final and a final.
Yep.
You do a championship in that vein, and then at the end of that championship, they then crown a winner.
That's it. And next year, well, it's actually this year, they're doing their first international final, what they call their Rotax Racing Club International Final, RRCIF.
Okay.
So they're inviting, So they're inviting all the guys from around the world who do club racing, arrive and drive club racing. So let's maybe reiterate that you don't have to own your own go-kart. We supply the go-kart.
Yes, correct.
It's lighter than a rental cart, a corporate cart. It will have the safety bumpers on it, so it protects the carts. It'll have a 2-stroke engine on it, so it's nice and lightweight, nice and torquey. But what we're doing is we're putting a different exhaust pipe on it to help accelerate the cart out the corner, because a racing cart needs top speed, and 2-strokes use exhaust pipes to tune. To tune that speed. So the exhaust pipe is a very important part of creating where you want the power band. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give the carts a lot of power out the corners, so the guys have that thrill of because you can't get that any other way. But then limit them down the straight a little bit so that they're only doing like 90, 92
you're not arriving on the straight.
So you're not getting there doing exactly where that's where people panic, or that reaction time you're talking about. Like I blink my eyes, I've traveled 20 meters. You know, that's the kind of thing. So we're trying to create a safe speed for new people, and give them that thrill, that acceleration. You know, almost get on the gas, kind of wheel spin out the corner kind of feeling. And we will own the carts. I've got 16 of them on the way. And then, so we can have like a morning session and an afternoon session.
Brilliant.
The idea is to have 1 race a month and 1 practice day a month. And the practice day that I'm talking about, we called it an academy day. And that's where I'm going to invite exactly what Carl's saying. I want to invite all the teams, the coaches, come and give back to the sport.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
I'm always really impressed when I look at how ex-racers put back into the sport.
Yeah.
They're done with the sport now. They're not racing anymore, but they're still there. Vanessa Wood, her kids
100%.
Yeah. She's a steward at our races, and she puts in a huge amount of work into running these events. Roger Stephen, another one. His kids raced.
Eric Byers,
he raced.
Jerry DeVitt. Like, it's just, there's so many people.
You look at the people who give
back,
and it's inspirational. And I want to give back too. And the only way I know how to give back is by giving what I.
Yeah, creating the series. Yeah,
I think we'll take this offline as well. But I think there's also got to be an aspect of the media. There's got to be an aspect of the training sessions the kids are going to get involved in if they want to go to national level. So I think what you're doing is, as I said, is admirable. To wrap up though, Nick, where will we be able to find out more information about this? How can people get hold of you other than via Commentators Curse and our 2 platforms?
So I have a Facebook page, Level Up Karting, and Instagram as well. That's the name of my business, Level Up Karting. And the idea is first, get my carts here. It's taking a bit longer than I'd hoped. Obviously, I want to do it properly. So we've ordered a prototype from our chassis manufacturer, which arrived actually this week. And we had to do a few little changes to it to make it the way we want it. And as soon as I've tested it, we're going to order the 16 carts. And then for our mini drivers, the 13 or 12 and under, we're having mini chassis made up. They look exactly the same. They've got the bumpers on them and that. And we're going to have Rotax E10 motors on them. Carl knows about those.
Yeah,
he's seen them.
Those are, and I know we want to wrap this up, but that is something I just want to touch on, is that Rotax has taken a massive step forward in terms of e-karting being electric karting. And I'll be dead honest with you, and I've said this to Rotax, because when I went over to Sano for my first gig as an official media personality, before I was a driver and a commentator, now I went over as an official media. They asked me to stay on the Sunday to drive what they call the E20, which is the bigger version of an electric kart. And there's actually an article on the Rotax website that you can go and read of me driving it. But I didn't expect anything, and I really thought it was going to be the worst experience I've ever had on four wheels. It is so far from that. It's scary. They've got a linear throttle. The power is insane. They're quicker off the line than a DD2. Yeah. They're only a second slower than a DD2. So I was like, this is fantastic. We arrived in Bahrain. They had the E10. They sent it out with the mini-match competitors on the circuit at the same time, and it was inside the top 10 of the world's best mini-match drivers on an electric kart. So a real massive step forward in terms of technology, and the power delivery and everything is unbelievable. So just because it's an e-kart doesn't mean it's not going to feel like a two-stroke. It actually feels more visceral and more potent than a two-stroke. Sorry, Nick.
It's the same vein that we saw with motocross as well, with the Cobras and with the Starks coming in. All of a sudden, you've got bikes that are competitive with 125, with 250s, etc. And yes, they may be a little bit more expensive if you can buy one yourself, but the bottom line here is that's where technology is going. You're not buying it yourself, though.
Yeah, exactly. So the running costs are non-existent. It's a little bit more expensive to purchase, which I'm doing the purchase.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be running them, so the maintenance costs then disappear.
Yeah.
So, and again, the fairness, the parity, I don't want to have tuning engines to try and keep them all at the same level. The Junior Max motors, we have very good experience at those. I can trust those that they'll buy it out the box, put it on a cart, and they're all going to be. Yeah. And I mean, I've got my own personal test pilot. He can jump in and he can test all my carts.
And he's for free.
There you go. So we'll maintain all the carts at the same level. Tires will all be of the same age. We got really cool stuff at our disposal. Barcode scanning on the tires. The carts will have lap counters on them and on a data system, so we can see how far have the carts gone. Okay,
if there's an issue with it, how many hours it's done. It's just properly. You've taken your motorsport experience and your high level, because you've been at a high level, international level, some of the best in the world. You're taking that knowledge and then just bringing it to this concept.
I'm going, look at myself 20 years ago when I started, right? I wanted to do it so bad. Didn't have the budget. This is something I would have wanted to do. And all the corporate karts and stuff that I've driven, all the four strokes and stuff that I've done over my beginning time, they were never the same. They were always faster ones, slower ones, good handling ones, bad handling ones. And the concept I want a clean, pro-looking thing that the guys come there and they go, man, this is nice. Get into it. And again, it's a raffle of karts. So you're not going to drive the same kart.
Lucky draw.
And you won't be able to tell the difference between the karts. That's what I want, because that's the only way you're going to have fun. And if you're spending money to go and race and your mate beats you, you're always going to go, oh, it's because he had a better kart than you. It's just one of those things. I want them to go, man, that was proper, because
there was no difference.
That's the idea.
Well, I love the concept. You said you want trainers there. I'll make sure that I am there for every single one. I'll try my best, depending on calendar-wise, but for every single one of your academy days, we'll make sure we're there. Nick is based at Swartkorps Raceway in Pretoria at the moment. There is obviously the conversation to move to different circuits around not only Gauteng, but around Southern Africa. But to begin with, as it's launched, it will be launched from Swartkorps and start from there. It is a concept that's brought Abby Pulling into motorsports. I mean, she was the first or second F1 Academy winner.
Second one. Chadwick or what?
Won the first one. But I think, you mentioned numbers to me when we were there in Bahrain. 4,000 odd individuals have moved in the last 3 years or something into owner racing.
Yeah, so they have, I can't remember that number, but the percentage is 37%. So out of every 100 drivers that they're getting brilliant in these arrive and drive karts, 37 of them are buying go-karts.
And
owner go-karts. So whether that's 2 strokes, 4 strokes, whatever, they're buying go-karts.
They're going on. Yeah.
There we go.
And so the concept works.
The concept is to grow motorsport as a whole, not just karting, but all forms of motorsport.
Because eventually they're going to move on. They're going to say, right, I'm done with karting. Let's go and buy a saloon car. Let's go and buy a single-seater. Let's go and see where we go from there.
And hopefully the powers that be stop looking at karting as really a stepchild, and it was actually the growth into motorsport.
Yeah, the guy comes and drives our 2-stroke kart and goes, you know what, I really love this. I want to do this. Let me grab four Oaks and go and do the F400 endurance rings. Or you know what, I want to own a go-kart. The 2 strokes is maybe a bit too scary for me or a bit too expensive for me.
Yeah, let me go Tillotson
route. So the idea is not to... I don't want people to think I'm becoming opposition to anybody. That's not my plan. My plan is to grow motorsport as a whole. Had a meeting with Motorsport South Africa. They're on board. They making licenses available, cheaply available for
Grassroots
club
licenses,
racing.
that is, and that's massive.
You know, that is huge to get people to come and try it out. And you know, if we can get, I'm happy with a 5% turnaround, but who knows where it is. And you know, we're passionate about it and people feed off that passion. My intention is to grow it. My intention is to make everybody enjoy it the way I enjoyed it. And there's no failures here. This is only one way, and it's for everybody to benefit.
Yeah, share the love of motorsport, man.
There you go.
Say no more. From our side, we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, Nick, for joining us.
Thanks
Awesome
a lot,
to have
guys.
you.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the concept, and good luck with it. As I
you.
said, Carl will be available to train if you want some media help and you want to get maybe somebody that's on the sideline.
I want to get you to come
and have a chat to them about how to handle the social media and how to handle a bit of microphone work.
I've already put you up as commentator
thanks
for
a lot,
those
eh?
races.
Thank you. So
Just so you know, I've already done it. But I was like,
But
okay, great.
Okay, so we're in.
I want him to come and record him doing some laps.
Yeah, we're going to do some laps. I think
There we
it's
go.
good.
Let's do it.
We can give you
Stand by for that one. We'll be coming on in a show pretty shortly. Take care then. Bye-bye now.
Cheers.